Welcome back everybody, my name is Grace, and today I'm doing a 0-stat DeElfly run, but I'm doing something I don't think has been done before, which is a 0 damage taken at all DeElfly run. Now, this also fulfills the no healing requirements, so no extra resource regeneration in this kill, etc. And we're going to be using a combination of barriers, niche strategies, and funky item interactions to get that done. So with that being said, what you're looking at now is a preliminary 0-stat, no healing DeElfly kill. What I figured out was that you could use the shieldcake's damage reduction, and once you did that one time, you could just bake damage reduction, and just spam the damage reduction every turn without concern. That's kind of cringe, it's kind of boring, so what I wanted to do was take it a step further. One, use defensive effects on my baking turns so that I actually earn them, quote unquote, rather than just using how strong the item is to just get it for free. And then two, I'm going to be taking 0 damage in the first few turns, which is rather difficult. But the way we're going to do that, the first thing we're going to do, as you see, is grab a guest. So now we're onto the live footage, not the voiceover, and what I'm going to do is go to Vance. Vince, hell if I know, dude, I mix that name up every time. We go to the Germinator quest, and now what you see here is all these people. If you click them, they can help you in battle, but you don't actually click them. What you do is you click to battle, and then you pick who you're going with. So originally what I was going to do is I was going to run Yulgar, because he does earth damage, and that can remove the haunting stacks from the boss. But if I'm trying to take 0 damage, the boss will never inflict haunting stacks at all, so I actually don't need him. What I think I'm going to do is pick Artix or Whirlick. Now I said that because Artix does light damage, which DeElfly is weak to, and Whirlick Ellie Seeks, which of course is the best option. And I thought that these two guests would be 0 upkeep because the Yulgar guest and the Zorback guest from the chest are 0 upkeep. But in reality, these two have been updated at some point, so they aren't 0 upkeep anymore, which is bad for my resource maintenance. So instead, I'm going to be choosing Robina Hood, who should attack with wind damage, if all goes well. Now, of course, I will flee from this power flower, and then I will get ready for the kill. But before I flee, I'm actually going to prep one of my armors, and that is going to be Spell Slinger Obsidian Cloak. Except that I forgot to change the title, so we'll pause and go back to Combat Practice Trainer. Okay, so now we're at Combat Practice Trainer, and what we're going to do is set up the Spellslinger Necro Armor with all of the stuff applied. So we're going to use the Necromancer's Presence, the Intellect boost, and of course we're going to be using Spiritual Amplification. We could switch it to Spellcaster Lean, but that doesn't do anything anymore. Shout out to the homie Sapphire, Brady Simmons, doing great things for the game. But with that all being done, I think we should be ready to go, except we also have to get our right pets out. The Polala pet will slightly boost the passive shield from the Necromancer ability, and we could use Summon Legion Fenrir, but then we wouldn't have access to the 0 upkeep guest because, of course, it's a temporary guest. I can't resummon it. So we could use Legion Fenrir, but I'm not going to this time. So with all that being said, let's see if I remember the code for Anim's house. Actually, we forgot the Granamore potion. Don't forget the Granamore potion. Okay, Deadeye Strait acquired, almost 7 BTH. 901. I think that's the right code. Let's see. Oh, embarrassing. Take 2. Embarrassing. Now we'll go check the real number. Okay, now we have the correct house code, so I'm going to run you through the process of getting going. So we lose initiative turn 1 because DeElfly has stats, we don't. We could, I think you can reset RNG for a very, very small chance of winning. You know, I don't even think you can actually, it would be very close, but not quite. What we do is we switch into Spellslinger. We've got our heal res weapon and shield equipped. Boom, Anima Barrier. We rolled pretty well, 217. Not the best you can get, but we don't really need to optimize it too much. And what we're going to do next is Chiaro Symbiote to reduce incoming damage by 15% for turn 1. And then we're going to switch into Lord of Thunder. which is a fully defensive energy armor. And that'll be our max amount. You could also, there's a couple weapons that have an RNG chance for damage reduction, but I can't be bothered with all that stuff. So let's see if we can manage this first turn without taking any damage. Okay, we made it. Except I forgot a very important step, which I'll show you in this next reset. Okay, so we reset. We have a bit of 100 SP below what we could theoretically optimally have, but we do the same thing. We go to Spell Slingers. I forgot Polala. The boost is a tiny bit shorter. Not a big deal. We go back to Lord of Thunder, and we switch the weapon to Rainbow. Rainbow will cleanse the stun on me because he has Fearful Presence, so you're very likely to be paralyzed on turn 1. So again, we take 0 damage. And I'm going to bite the bullet and just switch the graphics to low. The boss is pretty laggy on its attacks. So we have 147 barrier left. Now, there are 2 ways to get around this and take 0 damage. One, you use Wingweaver Aegis. A buddy of mine gave me this idea. If you have 1, the prismatic burn, that's 1 status, and 2, a paralyzed pet or guest, that'll be 2 statuses to cleanse, so it won't actually heal you. Also, I'm starting the fight at full HP, so it can't heal me anyways, so that would also fulfill the no heal requirement, but that's one way to do it. So now we don't have a Pris burn, and we can just go throughout the fight super easily. That, to be honest, is really boring though, so I'm going to get my SP back up to full, and then I'm going to show you the cooler way I found, or the way that I think is cooler, to deal with that. So again, we're going to have Oath of Desire and Polala. And we flee to reset. Heal up these last few HP. And I'm going really in depth with this process. But I just wanted to show you every step of the way to take 0 damage. Because I think 0 damage taken even on turn 1 is a pretty cool challenge. So that's why I wanted to go through it in such detail. Oh, 300 barrier. We high rolled this time. Now we go back to Lord of Thunder and the all-important Rainbow, so I don't get stun locked, or stunned up at least. And here is where we get going. So we've got some barrier left, but we're about to take a massive amount of damage from that prismatic burn. Now, I could use shieldcake, but I'm starting without it pre-charged as an extra challenge, so that obviously wouldn't work. What I'm going to do before I do anything is some quickcast boosts. Now, I had Gandalfin, and that was initially, I hoped that I could have the Gandalfin barrier to take, or Mana Shield, to take up a little bit of the damage. And I was doing that before I started using the Necromancer barrier turn 0, but now that I want 0 damage taken, I'll count MP damage for that too, so I can't really use Gandalfin. Now you might notice another spell we have is the Knife to Meet You spell. This is a quick cast earth damage spell, and the goal of that is to damage the monster's earth resistance without taking any damage, so I could remove the haunting stacks if he inflicted any on me. But the fact is, he doesn't inflict haunting if he does 0 damage, so we don't need to worry about that. But if we did have either of those strategies, we could use these two. Also, Gandalfin doesn't work if you already have a barrier, so that's out the window. But what we can do is go to the Werepire transformation, use the Deadly Predator ability, become the beast, use Angra Linorm as a booster pet for melee damage, and use the Haunted Dragonlord's Will shield right here, which costs SP. Now, Werepire is probably the best armor to boost in for these healing spells now that Spellcaster Lean doesn't work, but you see we got up to a 400 HP barrier, and so I'm going to just reverse these toggles in the correct order so I don't lose any HP. And then I will, let's see, what weapon do I equip now? I believe I equipped the Burden of Insight. Toggle on the auto hit, and of course. So the question is, do we go Lord of Thunder, the fully defensive energy armor with 13% resistance, or Sugar Rush Guardian armor, not fully defensive on the lean, but fully defensive baked into the stats? Now, you could calculate it out, and what you'll find is that on average, compared to the lean of Lord of Thunder, you take a like 0.5%. You have lower by 0.5% average resistance on Sugar Rush Guardian armor. So we'll take a tiny bit more energy damage, but we'll take a tiny bit less prismatic burn damage. So with all that being said, we have a couple more preparations for this first turn. The first turn is the hardest because we don't have any damage reduction from Baby Egg. So what we're going to do is we're going to use Soften Space, Space Gauntlets, Ellie Shield. So now we're taking half damage. Next, we use the Wingweaver's Spirit Mist, and we click the accessory to activate Gain Barrier after attacking your foes with a weapon. So this doesn't scale off your stats, and we're using an auto-hit weapon, so we're going to hit every time. And so I'll gain a small barrier from this attack. Now that barrier and the Ellie Shield together should outweigh the damage I'm going to take from the prismatic burn if all goes well. Boom, 0, and we still have 380 barrier left. Awesome. So you can see that guy, he hit us for like 17 damage because we have the Ellie Shield, and now is when we can start cooking because now we have Baby Egg, so we're going to be even more in the profit. But before I do that, I'm going to get one more turn of Haunted Dragonlord's Will, and actually I forgot Grokma Harbinger last time. So we can Cry Havoc, get our Berserk bonus, and that'll be a 1.21x multiplier on the power of our shield. We have just barely enough SP for it. Reclaim Humanity. Remove this. Go back to Wingweaver's Spirit. Awesome. Go back to Burden of Insight. Awesome. Go back to Sugar Rush. And Nickel-clad Knight's Defender. And of course, the Nickel-clad shield boosts the power of the barrier from the Wingweaver's Spirit Mist. And now Baby Egg is going to be attacking. I think it's going to attack this turn, although we do have that paralyzed pet. I'm not quite sure how that'll stack out. But boom, again, we take 0 damage whatsoever, although our barrier is really getting chunked into now. But now we have the Baby Egg damage reduction, so we should be okay to manage this damage, if all goes well. 255 barrier with 24 damage reduction, let's see. Oh, we took 11 damage, okay. So, we failed the initial challenge, which is a bummer. So that means we either have to get really good RNG on our barriers, or use Legion Fenrir to boost them a little bit more. But before I change the setup, so here's a new reset. This time I got totally full SP bar, all the way to 1470, which will give me a tiny bit more resources to play with. And on top of that, I'm going to do a slightly different order of operations. So Spellslinger's Obsidian Cloak, smallish barrier, no big deal, probably. We go to Lord of Thunder, we equip Rainbow, and we bring out Chiaro Symbiote. There we go, start the battle. Okay, so this time, first of all, the pet is only paralyzed for 1 turn, or 0 turns. So that'll be a little quicker fat acting on the Baby Egg. And second of all, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do that same setup. We're going to go to Werepire, use Oath of Desire, Haunted Dragonlord Shield, Grokma Harbinger. Where is it? Thank you. Deadly Predator, become the Beast. Reclaim Humanity, Deadly Predator. And we're going to use Soul Gauntlet. Nope, not Soul Gauntlet. Space Gauntlet. That would be cheating if I used Soul Gauntlet, because that would be resource restoration. Okay, so this is the resources we have left. Now I think what I can do here is instead of actually attacking and getting the barrier from the Wingweaver and doing a little bit of damage, what I'm going to do is bake on turn 1 with the shieldcake. The logic behind this is that this is the turn where I have some barrier left over from Necromancer, and I have the Ellie Shield from Space Gauntlet, so I'm going to be at my most defensive here. Let's see how much damage I take. So 0 burn and 228 barrier remaining. Okay, so now, before everything, we use the damage reduction, and this is what's going to give us the ticket. Now we have 51 damage reduction. So now I can switch to Nickel-clad Knight Defender, and what I'm going to do is, before I do that, I'm going to again go to Werepire, go to Oath of Desire. Grakma Harbinger. I'm just doing all this step by step, voicing it out so I don't make a mistake. Angry for that, whatever, 2% boost. Back to Baby Egg. Reclaim Humanity. Nickelclad. Wingweaver Spirit. And so the amount of stacks we have left on the orange shieldcake is 16. So we have 3 turns worth of damage reduction. But now, with this damage reduction, I should take 0 damage from the Prisburn, so my barrier should only go up with the Wishweaver Misk. Well, I still took damage. It's a little concerning. Either way, we haven't lost yet. So let's again use orange shieldcake. Damage reduction. Nickelclad Knight Defender. Wingweaver Misk auto hit so we get the barrier. Baby Egg, I think we should be good with this. Or as good as we can. We don't really have enough SP to do another Haunted Dragonlord's Will. Alright. So we just barely made it. Now I'm going to keep it real with you. I don't know why this guy's doing more damage all of a sudden. Yesterday when I was doing it, this was not an issue. I was taking no damage from the prismatic burn. But that time it absolutely tanked my barrier. Alright, let's see what happens this turn. We still take 0 damage. Ah, okay. So something funky was happening with the barrier. It was hitting the barrier before the damage reduction applied. Or something similar. But luckily we have just enough SP to get another Haunted Dragonlord's Will cast in. We don't have enough SP. If we remove Grakma Harbinger, we have enough SP. Okay. 257. Let's see if the damage reduction lasts another turn. I think I have to bake with the shieldcake this turn, so let's see what happens. Wingweaver Spirit, because why not? The damage reduction will still apply to a 54 barrier. I think we should be good. Damage reduction, back to Nickelclad. Did we sustain it? So I think we may have sustained it. But the thing is, the barrier is now... So what's happening is the status is hitting the barrier before the damage reduction is applied. Which is kind of a glitch because, you know, damage reduction should be applied before you take any damage. But what I can do is just damage reduction, bake. And this is the cheesy thing I was doing yesterday. But since I'm taking extra barrier damage from a glitch, not really quite sure how to proceed. Maybe I'll clear cache and try again. Okay, what I've decided is that a 0 damage taken in the face of glitches kill is good enough. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use Baby Egg and Shieldcake to their full effect and just take the boss down this way. So I don't actually need the Wingweaver Misk this time. And I'll bake up to my full charges, so that'll take me a few turns. And then once I have that done, I will start dealing damage to the boss. And I've got a fun way to deal damage. which is going to be using some Robina ally assists to lower his defense, so I can hit him with harm. Because there's no auto hit harm weapon that I know of. And harm damage is going to be twice as fast as hitting with ice. So it's just a much nicer deal. Also, it occurs to me I should have had Oath of Desire to boost my base SP regen out that whole time, but no big deal. So now we go to Nickelclad and we're going to use Ally Assist Robina. So we've got 2 Robinas on screen, who would have guessed? So this is pretty much the same method I used yesterday, but with the intricacies of figuring out how to take 0 damage on turn 1/turn 0, and also the attempted strategy to use barrier to bake, but then the glitch unfortunately made it so that my barrier is being taken away regardless, so I can't really use that. But yeah, so we're going to lower his damage or his defense by I think like 45 or 30 or whatever, forget exactly how much it is. And each turn I'm going to bake with orange shieldcake. Let's see, starting at 73. It goes to 64, yeah, so 9, so 45 damage reduction total, or defense reduction total. And this should leave me open to HPP, MP, SPK, so full resources of everything. Kill this boss, which will be awesome. And after I get through this discussion and monologuing, I'll just kill the boss, baking every turn, and call it a day. And I'll speed up the rest of the clip. So let's go orange shieldcake, damage reduction, Knight's Defender, Robina. So 4 out of 5 used. His lowest defense is going to be 46, I believe. Yep, there we go. And now we switch into our 0 upkeep harm weapon. And I want melee damage, yep. Which is what I had, but I just wanted to make sure. Now I can equip Wingweaver's Spirit, and I should, as long as I don't forget to bake with orange shieldcake, I should be good to go. So we're nearly at the end of the kill here, and don't see anything that could get in the way unless I misclick or forget a step. But so it turns out a couple things. One, the harm damage I was dealing is very similar to the ice damage I was dealing. So maybe I didn't quite realize this, but he's got something of a harm resistance somewhere. Easy to figure out, easy enough to figure out, but I can't be bothered, to be honest. And then 2, we should be all good to get the HPP MP SPK. Oh, you know what? Here's a mistake. I forgot a damage reduction. Let's play it safe. Well, so I'm bummed because the damage reduction just isn't applying to the barrier. But let's try one more time. No harm in doing that. It will mess up the HPP MP SPK, so just having full all resources, but I'm more curious about this bug that I've encountered of barriers not being benefited as they should. So let's reclaim humanity and see what happens here when I go back to Sugar Rush. Also, I switched to the Guardian Lord of Thunder armor, but I couldn't be bothered. In the end, to keep using it, so not a big deal. Anyways, we'll bake. Should take 0 damage here. Damage reduction once again, and we'll just finish it off with a couple hundred SP down. Not a big deal. But yeah, so the goal was to showcase building up a barrier on 0 stats with the Wingweaver Misc auto hit, and then every few turns baking once with the shieldcake so I could do damage reduction again. But again, that my barrier is getting taken away even though I'm not taking any damage. So there's a bug going on there. No big deal, happens all the time. I'm a little confused because it worked yesterday, but no big deal. These things happen. So what I could do is I could wait like 2 turns to heal this SP, which I think I'm gonna do just for the screenshot. And then how can I stall a turn without healing? You know, I think drinking a mana potion, that kind of counts. Oh, 2 HP, is Baby Egg gonna hit? Oh, Baby Egg hit, doesn't matter anyway. But yeah, there's a 0 stat, 0 damage taken throughout the whole kill method. The main things I wanted to showcase were 1, using 0 upkeep cost guests, just as a little bit of extra chip damage, or you could use Yulgar to reduce his haunting stacks. I'm sure there's a guest that deals damage for Dark and Fire. Actually, there is Zorback, but his is inconsistent, that you could use for Wicked King. Now that negative resistances are auto hit, but also I wanted to showcase building barriers, but again, we got stuffed by that glitch of damage reduction, not working on it. But that's the video. I hope you enjoyed this 0 stat kill and the fun little methods I went through and the trial and error process I went to making this method work. Have a good one. I'll see you guys later. Bye bye.